In this video we're going to see how we can bring in new data to the filters at the top and to the data that comes into the grid. Firstly, these are all the dimensions that you want to measure your business by, and if you are someone that has a number of segments, you can actually bring in additional segments. So for example, there's segment 7, and if we look here you can see that next to this type dimension, if I was just to double click this and click OK, you can see we've now got segment 7, which is our product dimension, and that can come into the software. If I want to just give that a name, so I'm going to add a caption to that segment. I just select it there, add the caption, put the segment in here, and this is product. So now you can see that that is there. I can select individual products. There's product 1. If I was to run that, I don't think there'd be too much data. In fact, there's nothing. I could also bring in, so what I've just done there, this is add and remove selections for the filters at the top. We're now looking at rows and columns, so I can add stuff in. So segment 7 you can see is now been renamed to product. So if I was to bring that in and then run this, we have an extra column coming down here. Let me just remove opening balance and put in the balance values, otherwise we won't get too much information. So you can now see there's product 1 and a little bit more of information there. So if I wanted to remove dimensions, I could do as well. You can just see I just click this and that would remove. So if I took that away, take type away, so you can see that. Type's an interesting area here. Let me go back and put that in again, and what we're going to do here, you can see these are all the key dimensions that we have in the system, but we can go even deeper than that and go behind these dimensions and pick up attributes. So I know that the segment category code has some attributes to it, and one of those attributes is type, so I'll put that back in there. And that type is very, very important, because in there, there's a segment category code. Let me just put that back in again. So there's type, that's in the grid. What I actually want to do is bring type into the filters as well. There it is. Okay, so see it's now in the grid and here. And what type is these are my profit and loss accounts because they begin with I, so income and expenditure. And what you can see is those are all the P&L. And then if I was to change this to balance sheet, it's another way of getting all the information that you need. So you can see that we can start adding, and we can save this report away. We can remove stuff from here. So now let's drill down to say the GL journals from this particular account here. When we get to this particular area here, you can see that we've got a lot more columns, and when we come here we can go into these values and into the journals, and then this is all the information that's saved across the journals. Now some of the captions here are self-explanatory, some aren't. You can see on the right hand side we've got description already in here. We've got AP and AR invoice number, but we might want to bring in something else. We've got the journal date, yep, journal code. Let's bring that in. There's the journal code, journal line. Now the journal line, when I run this, if there's a few more journals in here, it will open that all up. So you can see that we can add additional information by clicking in here and getting all the columns that's available to us. So within the account dimension we have attributes as well, so we can bring in other information into the grid. So this is extremely powerful. We can add and we can subtract information. So if we actually come here and we go back here and we remove columns, that's now consolidating information. So now I'm just looking at the trial balance. You can see that. I can open that up and drill, if you remember from another video, to open that back up to get that. But let's look at journals again, and now let's look at something quite interesting. If I was to remove absolutely everything, what I'm actually doing now is creating a balance down at a transactional level. And if I come to the values here and just look at the balance amount, what I can do is check that these balances actually are in accordance with trial balance. We just clear out some of these filters because let's just run that to get a bit more information, and take out account. So now you can see I've got a sort of mini trial balance. If I change the year to 2008 and run that for, I don't know, let's run it from period 1 to period 12. Let me get some more data. Just bring in period. You can see how you can actually change the values here. Okay, so now I've got periods going across. So now you can see that what I did there was I brought in the period dimension and pivoted to the top so that we can see our trial balance. And you'll be pleased to know we've got a variance here, but we should be able to compare this trial balance to the GL balances here for period 1 to 12 if we were to take that and change that to 2008. And if we were to take the periods 1 to 12, file that across and file this. So we've now got two reports where we're looking at the trial balances for the individual accounts. And we can see we've got a few more accounts in there, and that's because we've got this filter in here which is balance. We need to clear that out. I think that's probably it now. We should now be able to compare. There's period 9, there's a 97, 97. If I take this, I can bring it side by side, and you can start comparing your actual transactions to your balances, which is a fantastic check if you have something wrong with your trial balance and it gets out of balance because the postings haven't done or gone through. So that's a short video on how you can bring in more data, consolidate information, and I hope that's been of help.